All right. We will call to order the regular meeting of the City Commission for Tuesday, October 26th. If you would, please silence your cell phone. City Clerk, if you'd call the roll, please.
Mayor Owen.
Here.
Vice Mayor Sachs.
Here.
Commissioner Hartman.
Here.
Commissioner McGurk.
Here.
Gentlemen, Commissioner Colodi is absent tonight. City Manager informed each of us, and I had the opportunity to speak to Mr. Colodi as well, and he was okay with me sharing. He did have a minor heart attack while on some travel. He is in good hands, being taken care of, expected to make a full recovery, and will be back in the area. So I'm sure he's actually watching tonight, probably would like to be here. He's a tough guy, but so he is not able to make it. So, gentlemen, could I get a motion to have that be an excused absence for Commissioner Colodi?
So moved. Second.
City Clerk.
Commissioner Hartman.
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sachs.
Yes.
Mayor Owen.
Yes.
Thank you.
And also just want to acknowledge we have with us another elected official that's joining for one of the proclamations. Zone 4, I think it is, from Daytona, Stacy Cantu is here with us tonight. So good to have her joining for the first part of the meeting here. All right, we're going to begin with pledge. We have Police Department Chaplain Beverly Richardson here. We'll start with an invocation and then have the pledge right after. If you'd stand and remain standing.
Thank you. Will you pray with me? Gracious God, we are grateful again to gather and to be residing and providing leadership for this community of New Smyrna Beach. May your Spirit continually make us mindful that we build upon foundations we did not lay, and the decisions we make and the choices that we choose will affect the generations to come. So we pray, O Lord, that you might grant wisdom and discernment to all of our officials here tonight and help the citizens of this community to respond with respect and dignity. We ask this in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Should have had our commander lead us in the pledge. I thought of it as it turned around. All right, City Manager, changes
now
to the agenda.
Now we'll give you the rights resolution for this one. We're going to add one item under 7A, and that is Resolution 58-21. Consider the adoption of a resolution which, if adopted, would approve a grant award to the New Smyrna Beach Housing Authority in the amount of $425,625 to fund infrastructure improvement for Phase 1 of the Green Lawn Manor Senior Housing Development Project.
And I think we were going to add that as 6M under 6M? Consent agenda. Obviously, if the commission wants to pull it, we can pull that, but we're going to put it under 6M for now. So that's item 5821, and the clerk can give you copies of that since it was a late edition if you would like a copy. All right. Gentlemen, we have a proclamation tonight, and we've got some folks in the audience here, and it's actually on behalf of the commission, so if you all wanted to join me down here, that'd be appropriate. All right, what's his name?
Rico.
Rico, all right. Rico's excited. I think this is the first. I don't know we've had a... Okay. All right. He's a good boy. He is. All right. So tonight, we are recognizing and proclaiming the city of New Smyrna Beach as a Purple Heart city. It says, whereas the Purple Heart is awarded to members of the United States Armed Forces that have been wounded or killed in combat with a declared enemy of the United States of America. Whereas the Purple Heart is the oldest military decoration in use today, which evolved from the badge of military merit created by General George Washington in 1782. whereas the city of New Smyrna Beach, Florida, and our community have the utmost admiration and gratitude for all of the men and women who have and are selflessly serving their country in our armed forces. And whereas the mission of the Military Order of the Purple Heart is to foster an environment of goodwill among the combat wounded veterans and their families, promote patriotism, support legislative initiatives, and most importantly, make sure we never forget. And whereas it is important that we appreciate the sacrifices of our Purple Heart recipients have made in defending our freedoms, acknowledging them for their courage and dedication. And whereas the state of Florida has been designated by the Florida State Legislature as a Purple Heart state, honoring the services and sacrifice of our nation's men and women in uniform who were wounded or killed by the enemy while serving to protect the freedoms enjoyed by all Americans. Now, therefore, I, Russ Owen, Mayor of the City of New Smyrna Beach, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim the City of New Smyrna Beach as a Purple Heart City this 6th day of October 2021. Commander, I think you also have a plaque there if you want to read that.
My name is Rolf Matar. I'm the commander of the Department of Florida Military Order of the Purple Heart USA. With me, I have several officers from the Volusia County Chapter 316 and members, all combat wounded veterans or, fathers or brothers or sisters, that kind of thing. In the Military Order of the Purple Heart Special Recognition Award is bestowed with pride to the City of New Smyrna Beach for your dedication and support honoring America's combat wounded veterans becoming a Purple Heart City. Presented by the Patriot members of Volusia County's Chapter 316 Military Order of the Purple Heart, USA.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Okay, I think now we have a presentation by a couple members of Dream Green Volusia, Suzanne Schreiber, and I think, sorry, your name just escaped me. Rebecca, right? Yes. For a presentation on Only Down the Drain and Adopt a Drain. So I moved that mic. If you, make sure you're talking to that mic so everybody can hear you.
Thank you for having us this evening. We're here to do a presentation, as you said, on storm drains. At the beginning of August, we launched an anti-litter campaign county-wide, which is quite a bit to bite off. But for this presentation tonight, it's on storm drains and the importance of labeling and doing something about the debris going down storm drains.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about Adopt a Drain. It's a nationwide program that we like to see come here to New Smyrna Beach. And what it does is it helps to prevent flooding in cities on streets, as well as help to prevent harmful debris from going down storm drains. So basically, most people don't really know that storm drains have no filters. So anything that goes down the storm drains on the streets goes directly into our lagoon. Harmful debris such as litter, leaves, grass, also pesticides, lawn fertilizers, dog feces, all of that contributes to a lot of the problems we're having with our waterways. So it actually just takes after Adopt a Park and Adopt a Road. So we would just basically do the same thing with Adopt a Drain, where volunteers could sign up on a city website and adopt drains that are available to adopt, and you would just commit a certain amount of time, such as 15 minutes twice a month for a year, and the city could pick out which drains get a lot of litter and so cause flooding, or so it might be areas such as Canal Street or Flagler Avenue, where there's a lot of foot traffic and therefore litter, or it could be HOA neighborhoods that get a lot of flooding, for instance. And the city could give the volunteers supplies such as grabbers, gloves, bags, or buckets, just like they do for Adopt a Park or Adopt a Road. And Dream Green Volusia, we would help to advertise the program so that we could recruit volunteers.
So we feel like that the city would have a better idea, generally speaking, of where you have issues as far as flooding or debris, whatever, whether it be trash or lawn debris or whatever. So for this particular program, we're looking for you to start small and not go citywide, to get to a point where you have volunteers to make it effective in a specific area, because we really want it to be effective, not just have random here, random there. We would like to concentrate, and once that's going, possibly grow the program. So Only Rain Down the Drain, we're asking for the city to let us find sponsors for 2 drains, specifically one on Flagler Avenue and A1A, and one on Canal Street and Faulkner, I believe it is. So we walk down Flagler Ave and Canal. You have a lot of white space, and we're going to show you something in a second to get you thinking out of the box here, but you have a lot of white space. If you would let us get business sponsors, the price of the drain is starting at about $500. We actually have 2 artists. One did this trash can right here to get you thinking out of the box. And if you, these are examples that an artist could do. If you were to consider these 2 drains in these 2 areas, you could also do walking tours and include them in the walking tours. I know you probably have some events now. You could incorporate these in, and long-term possibly end up doing more, but we're asking for 2, one on Canal and one on Flagler. So if you take a look at these, they're from across the country. This is not a new program. It's actually being done in certain cities and counties in South Florida right now, because drain education is really needing to happen based on what's going on in the lagoon. Here's the next one. Same type of thing. If you look at the top right, that one is a little more creative because they took it up a lamppost. And as I said, you have a lot of white space on Flagler Avenue. We're specifically asking for 2 drains, but you might consider long-term doing something more than drains. The additional thing that we're asking for is it's not cost effective and it's not smart to do murals everywhere, and we're well aware of that. Across the city, if you could mark the drains, and specifically that's a stencil on the left, dump no waste, drains to river. It's extremely cost effective. They come in packs of 5, 10, 25, 50, 100. To give you an idea, 10 is about $120. And you put them down and spray paint over those. So from a cost-effective standpoint, the paint on murals or on this drain would be something similar that you would use on a road or to line a parking lot, something along those lines for paint. Long-term, to build a partnership with the volunteers for Adopt a Drain, and we came up with the name River Rangers. We really like that term. I think it's doable, growable. It would be a partnership between the community and the city, and it would be very effective because keep in mind, to go back to the beginning, the whole goal here is to stop debris and litter tree debris, lawn debris, all of it from going down the drains and reaching the river. So that's it. I see we're under our time. If anybody has any questions.
Questions, comments? Commissioner? Go ahead.
You know, I like this project. It's easy to do, easy to accomplish, and we have a lot of drains that go straight to the river. My whole neighborhood has this. So at the very least, I think it's a great idea to get the stencils, start spray painting, so it not only reminds people, but also educates. There's probably a lot of people out there that really do not understand, or they just assume that it's contained somewhere and it isn't just straight piped right into the river.
So I want to add to those stencils, there are stencils that say drains to ocean, drains to lake, wetlands. There was one for wetlands. Obviously we stuck with river because that was really what this was about, but there are other options, and you can customize stencils too. But for the sake of this, that made sense. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, ladies. It's a big undertaking, and getting the ball rolling and getting the message out there. I'm very honored to be hopefully working with you. I first saw those stencils down in Key West and was reminded by an email I received this morning and saw that. And when I saw them the first time, I said, why can't we do that in our city? And I think your idea is even more beautiful and enhanced. But I like the idea of having a couple of really fancy ones and possibly a stencil. I noticed on Saxon there are emblems, metal emblems that they use, but the first time I saw those, they were so small and you needed a microscope to read them. So I think your idea, the size, getting the volunteership. One thing that really drives me crazy is to watch lawn maintenance fellows blow their leaves into the drain, right into the drain, and it comes out the outflow. So if we can pass that message on and enhance it, enlarge it, you guys are doing all the work for us. Thank you so much.
So, I also like the project and support the project. Much like when we were recycling the cigarette butts, that took off last year. It really has done quite a bit of accomplishment there. We've been real successful with that program, thanks to Linda Henline. But the only thing is I have a little bit concerned is we're starting to get art in public places. So I would just like to kind of get ahead of that to where we probably would have a policy on that. I've talked to the city manager about that. So, I don't want to get into any trouble down the road. So just so that it's been approved, at least at a local level,
I would expect it to go through an approval process with either your city manager in this commission or whoever you gave permission to. Yep.
Yeah. So.
Khaled, I too support it, and I like the kind of three components. One was the adopted drain. I'm going to come back to that. Number two was the art in a couple of key places. And I think I heard you all kind of putting yourselves on the hook to say, look, we'll try to find some partners to maybe even fund the small kind of investment that would be needed for the paint. Did I understand that right?
For the murals, we're looking at sponsorships.
Okay.
But for the drain stencils, we're not looking to assume the cost
for the
of
murals,
yes.
And so then the third part was the drain stencils. Colin, any concerns on any of those things or anything from your side?
I don't think on the stencils there's any concerns. I think I agree with Commissioner Hartman on coming up with an ordinance or a resolution regarding the overall murals. But as far as the stencils, I don't think it'll be an issue. I agree with her on starting small and then just taking the project and make it as big as we want to. So I think to make it successful, I think let's start small. And I agree with you on the two locations. So we'll work with you to get that done.
So I don't know that we need a formal motion. I think you've heard from pretty unanimous from us. I think we support it. We'll defer to you all for kind of the details and working it out. I guess I agree with you on the art in public places and needing something. I think this one's pretty, obviously if it's sponsored, I don't want to see this drain brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. I want to see what we just saw. Is the idea, I think, from all of us. And I would hope this one would be kind of agnostic enough that we could just go forward. But I agree, we probably need to get an art in public places, but I don't want to hold this up if at all possible. Yeah. So this one's, fairly.
We know that there is a certain look, taste, and feel
Yeah.
to New Smyrna Beach.
Yeah.
And we expect to keep it classy.
Any of the ones I just saw, I think I would have been fine with almost all of those. So anything in that vein, local artist, so.
Right.
All right, so staff, I think we had consent from the commission, work with the Dream Green folks and see if we can push something like this forward.
And the last thing I do want to say, and I'll finish up, is I believe that you all seem to like the stencils, but if for some reason you decide to go with something different, that's fine. We're just asking you to label your drains, but please keep in mind it needs to be visible.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've seen, like Vice Mayor said, the ones where it says it on the drains to river. I can't remember if I've seen it here or in my travels, but wherever I've seen it, I noticed it, but 90% of the people wouldn't notice that. I notice it because I'm in this role and I'm thinking about stuff like that and looking at drains, but nobody else does that. So I agree with you. It's got to be visible. So, all right. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. So we had a dog tonight and a trash can. So I think that's a first. Those are both first for us in a commission meeting. Okay, next item up is public participation. This is your chance to address the commission on items that would be on your mind. If you would give your name and address your comments to the commission, not to the audience. Keep it civil, professional. You've got 3 minutes. There will be a timer in front of you, and I will stop you at the end of that because we got to keep moving on. With that, anyone for public participation tonight? Come on up.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me again. Just touch on a few items on the consent agenda. I'd like to thank staff and the commission's support and attendance at 6C. So that was the Economic Development Regional Planning event hosted by the Chamber of Commerce. I'm Mike Lyons, 221 North Causeway, and I'm the current president of the Chamber of Commerce. I think everyone knows someone who lives and works either in New Smyrna, Edgewater, Oak Hill, or some combination thereof. So this project is a combination of the three cities, the Chamber, a couple other groups, and the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council to develop a big picture economic development strategy. So I thank the city's support for it so far and look forward to continuing those efforts to increase the regional viability of New Smyrna Beach and Edgewater and Oak Hill. Briefly on 6D, E, and F, I'd like to also thank the city staff and commission for working on the CRA projects. These particular properties are already looking better than they have in years, if not decades. So I'd like to thank the city staff and the commission for taking those up. I think they're pieces of property that are already looking good and only going to look better. Thank you all.
Thanks, Mike. Others for public participation? Yes, sir. Come ahead. In the back. Yep.
Hello again. My name is Don Lesher, 193 East Pennsylvania Avenue, Lake Helen, Florida. I know you've already feel like you've heard enough about softball, but after the last meeting, I just felt I had to come up and speak a little bit, clarify some of the comments that were made. You voted to have Mr. Ray come up with a set of rules, and he's working on that right now. I think he's actually made a proposal to Joe Daly and Tom Coryell today, gave him a couple options. But I'm here to ask you to reconsider the vote and go ahead and do it right now. There's 60 more games left in this season. Every day you allow the players to get on that field without a net, you're risking their lives. I also wish to clarify some of the comments that Coryell said and the staff members made. First, Tom said our league is use a representative form of government. I apologize that we've even had to come to you, because had we in fact had a representative form of government, we would have had the screens up 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I told Tom that I felt like the majority of the league wanted a net. We feel like it's a safe thing to do. Other leagues are using it. It works really fine. Tom ignored me totally, so I felt like I had to do it in writing. I did a survey so I could get it in writing and give it to him. Before I even completed the survey, he banned me from the league. So, I mean, that's why we call him Hitler. This is what Hitler did. You censor the opposition. So, I've been in the league for over 15 years, and he banned me for violating Rule 13. Didn't even know we had rules. You all have already seen the rules. He emailed them to you. He could have done that to the league years ago. I don't understand why we're being secret about the rules that we're using in the league. After he met with the city manager, Mr. Ray tried to get us to put the net in. Then he met with the city manager and fed him a whole bunch of mistruths and half-truths. And they agreed to increase the league fees about $5 a man to pay for the extra insurance. They posted a sign in the league that said, "You can thank Donald Lesher for the increased fees." I mean, we're not led by a leader. We're led by a child. This is childish. So we don't have anybody representing our views. Second, I heard the Tom and the mayor say that if you don't like it, you can play somewhere else. That makes sense, except the 50-year-old guys have nowhere else to play. The Daytona League is 60 and up. The Daytona League is a day league, so 50-year-old guys are still working. The only option they got is to play a night league. And the only one is here in New Smyrna. I heard the vice mayor say, are the proponents of the net willing to wait until January? The short answer to that is no, we're not. I think it's a big mistake to allow the league to operate again. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. The others, yes, sir.
John Robbins, 105 Quiet Circle, Port Orange, Florida. I don't want to kick the dead horse. I've had some correspondence with Mr. Sachs, and I want to reiterate what he just said. You guys voted on the net. We appreciate that. We love it. Everybody, the consensus is great job. It's about time. I wanted to put this out there. David Ray, 2 years ago, emailed this to all the players, and it went out on their website, which is on Facebook. And it says, this was dated January 15th, 2020. Effective tomorrow, for the safety and liability of all players, we will provide screens for pitchers to use if they wish to. This will currently be voluntarily. At some point, as we move forward, this will become a requirement for all 18 and up adult softball played leagues in the city of New Smyrna. That was 2 years ago. Tom Coryell. Do you know Tom Coryell, Mr. Mayor?
Only from our interactions on this.
Tom Coryell, the very next day, met with the city manager, and I'm not sure if he met with the city attorney or not. And he thwarted this. He blew smoke up everybody's rear and started talking about balls and lies. He threw lies out there. And he convinced the city manager to allow them to acquire separate insurance. This is absurd. You guys voted, and I would say, okay, if the chief brought you an intersection and said, guys, we're having tons of accidents at this intersection. We need to do something. Traffic engineering's come out, they did an analysis, we need to do something. It's four-way stop now. Perhaps we need a flashing light. You guys vote on it? Yep, we need a flashing light. You have the flashing light at city yards. You have people to put it up. But you say, nah, we're going to wait till the first of the year. Somebody flies through that intersection, somebody gets killed. No difference here. Same exact scenario can happen. When we left this meeting last time, I can't make this up, went to the fields, a man took one right off the top of the mask, and it went all the way to the center field fence. That ball was hit by a 59-year-old man on a 70-something-year-old pitcher. He was shaking when he got to the dugout. I walked up, I said, are you okay? He says, I didn't like that one bit, John. If that man had had time to turn his head, he probably wouldn't be here today, because that ball was probably spanked at about 105 miles an hour. You guys voted. There is no reason for you to wait to implement these. The city attorney, I'm telling you, you guys, you have all the information. Now, when somebody gets hit and hurt, and you guys delayed this, and there's 60 games left in this season, I would take the case if I was an attorney, and I would sue the hell out of the city. I'm just telling you.
Okay.
Thank you. Can I submit this so you guys can
Hand
read
to
it?
the clerk there. Any others for public participation tonight? All right. Seeing none, we will close public participation. Next item is consent agenda. There are 13 items on the consent agenda. Is that right? Does that include M? So we got A through M, however many that is. We'll begin with Vice Mayor Sachs. Anything to pull, that would be something you want to separately vote on. If you just have a quick comment, something you want to clarify for the public, this is your chance to do that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing to pull, happily.
All right. Commissioner McGirt? Commissioner Hartman? I had one comment on item 6B, which would appoint a new vice mayor. I want to thank Vice Mayor Sachs. You've done an outstanding job. You've had to fill in for me on a few occasions, and I appreciate that. When I was sick, I think I had some travel at one point, so appreciate you were always ready and willing to do that, and it's been an honor to serve alongside you as vice mayor. And
Likewise, Mayor.
Commissioner McGurk, I will commence to call him vice mayor for another year, and then it's about a year lag, I've learned, so hopefully you will accept the post, and I look forward to having you serve in that role.
Well, I'm going to accept that post, and I'll give you my long list of out-of-town dates and stuff.
Luckily, Vice Mayor and I, we were always, one of us is always here and in attendance at most events. I think between the two of us, one of us was at most events. So, all right, with that, do we have a motion to approve items 6A through M, the entire consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
City Clerk, if you'd call the roll, please.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sachs?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. We have no, I mean, this is a day. We have nothing under 7, no administrative items, new business. We have nothing under 8 second readings and public hearings. We have 1 first reading. Carrie, if you would commence on that.
Actually, one clarification. This will be a public hearing, this one I'm about to read.
Thank you.
Ordinance number 4921, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the comprehensive plan, creating a new element, Chapter 4, property rights element, as required by Florida Statute 163-31776I, to ensure that private property rights are considered in local decision-making, providing for public hearings, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date.
Carrie, can you clarify, just before I open it for the public and the commission, this is, as I understand it, make sure I'm saying this right, we basically copied and pasted this. State legislator said, these are property rights that we want codified at the local level. Many of them are, I don't want to use the wrong word, but it's not necessarily as prescriptive as it is more idyllic, if you will. So it doesn't go into a ton of detail, and it, to me, leaves some room for, I mean, it says subject to local ordinances or something of that regard, but is that basically what we've done here? We've copied and pasted what was passed down from the legislature?
Correct. This was a mandate from the legislature, and they will not allow you to proceed with any other comprehensive plan amendments until you do this.
And do we have the ability, if this commission or our public wanted to tweak a word here or there, is your understanding we can or cannot do that?
Very minimal ability to change things. The city of Sanford, we have like a listserv for local governments. They made a small tweak, and the state wrote back with comments that you need to change that back to the way it's intended to be.
So Sanford tried to make a tweak, and that got kicked back basically by the state.
Correct.
And if we don't do this, as you said, we can't then submit any future comp plans until we've got this
Exactly.
until we've got this codified.
Yep.
Gentlemen, it's a public hearing, but any other comments or questions on this first reading? It'll come back obviously for a second. This is a public hearing, and members of the public on this one particular item. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. The second reading and public hearing will be on November 9th, 2021. Next item, 10A, Building Trades Examining Board. We have, so we got a couple things going on here, gentlemen, if you'll follow me. So the terms of Terry Harrison and Grant Clark ended on January 1st, 2021. And then the term of Alan Charles was set to expire on January 1st, 2023. But Mr. Charles has resigned and moved out of state. And Mr. Clark unfortunately passed away earlier this year. Mr. Harrison is continuing to serve until replaced. So he's in like a 6th or 7th term, so he's just going to serve until replaced. So the clerk has recommended, so that leaves us basically with three total vacancies that we need to fill tonight. So the clerk has recommended appointing 2 citizens to serve the 3-year terms that expire on January 1st, 2024, and 2 citizens to serve the 3-year terms and 1 to serve the unexpired term through January 1st. We've had 3 submissions, Arthur Van Bullen and Frank Dalton and Heidi Halls Walker. So clerk has recommended appointing, and some of those are alternate member terms, by the way. So we have 1 that's an active member and then 2 alternate members. If everyone is thoroughly confused, we can proceed. So we have 3 appointments to make. 2, for various reasons, we have 3 vacancies. That's what I said first. So we have 3 vacancies. 2 of those are for unexpired, or 2 of those are for alternate members, and 1 of them is for an active member. And so we have 3 applications, Arthur, Frank, and Heidi. So do we have a motion to appoint first to the unexpired term? So this will be through January 1st, 2023. Kelly, remind me, you had recommended Arthur for that one. Was there a reason for that, or was that just a...
I went through their applications, and the board criteria matched his. He was
Okay.
closest to matching that criteria for the
Okay.
building trades.
So clerk's recommendation, we can take it or leave it, but clerk's recommendation is to appoint Mr. Von Bulen to that unexpired term as the regular member for January 1st, 2023, and then to appoint the other 2 folks, Frank and Heidi, as the alternate members that would be through 2024. Do I have a motion to accept the clerk's recommendation to make those 3 appointments as outlined?
Mayor, I make that motion. Kelly and her staff have done an excellent job tracking these boards and the members of these boards. So I trust her judgment on this. So I would support that motion.
Okay, I had a motion. I heard a second from, are you vice mayor now, or does that start at the end of the meeting? When does that start? Who's the vice mayor at the moment?
That's effective November 9th.
Yes,
Oh, okay, all
he's
right.
still
So
the
still
vice
him.
mayor.
All right. Okay, so we had a motion and a second. If no other comments on that, City Clerk, if you'd call the roll.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank
All
you.
right, and then we have the Youth Council Task Force. Youth Council's done a fantastic job under the leadership of our liaison, Paul Woodard, and he has nominated 5 students. One of those, El Fahi, is a returning senior. And then we have Carson, Rachel, Tillman, and Ali Zay that have also been recommended by Mr. Woodard. So the clerk recommends, and I second, because I don't know any high school students to pick out. If we don't pick these, I don't know how we're going to get more. So do I have a motion to accept the nominated students for appointment to the Youth Council?
So moved.
Second.
I had a motion, I had a second by the Vice Mayor. City Clerk, if you'd call the roll.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, those students have been appointed. We look forward to working with them, seeing what they accomplish this year. Mayor and Commission reports up next. We'll begin with Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm still quite concerned about injuries on the field, and I don't want to belabor it, and it's for people's safety and health. Yes, it is worth a discussion. Would my colleagues have the appetite to reconsider the previous motion of the last meeting at our next meeting to only do this? I don't know about the agreement or any of the other facts involved in the play on the field and what risk management steps we've taken, what fees we'll additionally charge. I'm just interested in getting that net on the field. Would my colleagues consider we just put that in as an amendment to the motion to get it started as soon as possible, if it is possible, and if David is willing and feels that we should do it. Because when I heard 60 games, I'm like, that's a lot of games. I mean, I'm comfortable with Commissioner McGurk's motion, but at the same time, I'm like, wow, we got 60 more games to play. The players seem very concerned, and I am also. So could I get a second for this?
I didn't hear you make a motion, so I don't know if you're asking for a second, but support to basically bring this back up for kind of reconsideration or further consideration, I guess. What's the commission's pleasure? I'll start off and nobody else will jump on it. My thought is this. The nets have been available since the time of that email for 2 years. If I were them and I were worried about getting hit in the head and I had enough players, if enough people don't show up, the game will not proceed without nets. Like, they have the power. I'm very confused about the dynamic of what's happening over there, and I don't know enough, and I don't have enough time. Like, that's way outside of my job scope to be refereeing an adult softball league. So to me, the nets are available. If there's that many players that are demanding nets and worried about their own safety, they have all the tools in the tool bag, in my opinion, to do that. If staff came back and supported, and said that they want to do this right away, I could do that. I was okay with the approach we took of trying to get a set of rules that would apply, figuring out if we needed to apply it to more leagues, I left with more questions than answers, and so that was what, to me, the extra time was. But I agree, 60 games is a lot of games, but to me, again, their personal safety is in their hands to a large degree, in my opinion. But
I'm sorry to interrupt. And the only thing to add was I found out that Port Orange and DeLand also have been using the nets for quite some time. So with that in mind, being an old kind of Q-tip fellow myself, I still have those concerns.
Yes. Anyone additional thoughts?
So,
go ahead.
Yeah. I hate to continue this. I'll do a quick. I'll do a quick post-mortem on what happened because I want to make sure I understand where you're coming from. There was a motion to require it in January that failed. Colodi made a motion which kicked it back to staff, which where it was when it then got kicked to us, and we kicked it back to them. With, as best I could tell, no requirement to include the nets, but a loose feeling of there should be nets. My concern, what my hope is that the nets will be required by the start of next season. Here's what I think I'd like to do. Because we can have this discussion on the dais during commission comments at any time. Just so it's not what we keep continue down this road. I think that if it came up for a vote, there would be 3 votes. That's my assumption. I think you would support it, I would support it, and I think Mr. Hartman would. But I don't want to put that in, certainly he can speak for himself. But I don't want to keep volleying this thing back and forth. Mm-hmm. We put it in staff's hands, and if it doesn't get resolved in January to the liking of at least what I think are 3 of us, why don't you then ask for it to be put on the meeting in January and then make the case that the commission should force the nets. That's my suggestion, only to let staff have time to figure this out, recommend something, and do something. That would be my thought, simply because when we bring it up for the next meeting, everybody's going to want to have all their discussions again. So that's my thoughts.
Let's hear from Commissioner Hartman.
So I have a different take on this. With my background, when this first came up 2 years ago, they came and they negotiated with the city. There was an agreement. And so to change that agreement in the middle of a season, I think is wrong. That's why I fully support that the nets be upcoming seasons. I think this should be mandatory, no ifs, ands, and buts. that they don't play after that. But since we're in the middle of a season and they've already kind of discussed it with David or Collard or somebody and they came to an agreement, I think we kind of have to live with our agreement that for the rest of this season, they're allowed to do what they're doing. Now, if the players and the management of the league say, hey, it's coming in January, we'll acquiesce and let you guys use them, start using them now, I mean, that just makes things better. But to me, we're kind of in a contract or an agreement, and we should live up to our end of that agreement is that, there were no nets for this season. And we required the insurance. So we've kind of laid it out. I've always been told and told everybody, if you don't like the rules, lobby to change the rules. You just can't ignore the rules or, just throw them aside. So, and that's where I'm coming from. I'm all for the safety, I'm all for the nets, but to me, it's a kind of a contract issue or an agreement issue that between us and the league. And so that's the reason why I think it should finish out the remainder of this season. Now, I don't think each one of these teams are playing 60 more games. There may be 60 games between 20 or 30 teams. So, truly how many times is that player going to be on the field? I don't know. I really don't care because my position is we've entered into an agreement and a contract and we need to live up to our end of the agreement.
I'm trying to recall. So I think last time was it Commissioner Colodey's motion. I think he made the motion. I think somebody kind of I don't remember who. It may have been Commissioner Hartman tacked on about is that effective as of January 1st. We codified that effective date at the time, and then that passed. I don't remember the vote very honestly. I don't even remember what I voted. If I'm honest, I can't remember if I voted for it or against it. But it obviously had enough support. So I haven't heard tonight. So I think I heard that Jason agrees with you. He would, to some degree, I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but would support having nets, but I don't know about the timing. So I tend to agree. To me, we've discussed it. We've had these folks come before us. If we put it back on the agenda, we're going to have an instant replay of the last one, a slow motion instant replay. We're going to have all the same people, probably even more. If they manage to not have a game that night, we're going to have a full commission chamber. You're going to hear from 100 people that don't want the nets. You're going to hear from 100 people that do want the nets. The more I hear, I will tell you, I'm very, the more I hear about some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, again, it's below my position, but I'm not impressed with what I'm hearing. The fact that somebody went back and posted on a bulletin board about, thank so-and-so, it feels very beneath the professionalism I would expect out of this. And so if that means that we have to get even more involved and say, no, this is what we expect as a city, so we're just going to, never mind, we will run a league and this is how you will run it, and we're not going to have all this management structure and people calling each other derogatory terms. And, that's kind of the point that I'm starting to get to every time I hear from, frankly, both sides on this. I haven't been impressed at all. So, we're about to take, to me, so if it keeps coming up, that's the approach I'm going to take is never mind, we're just going to manage this. That's the position I would take is we'll just manage it. We'll create all the rules and, so that's kind of where I'm at. So I guess where that leaves us is I don't think I heard, I don't think I heard enough support to put it on a future. Maybe worth bringing up if Colodey's here at the next meeting just to see where he's at, because with him and Commissioner McGurk, you might could get to the 3. I don't support bringing it back up. I agree with Commissioner Hartman. It is what it is. But again, the power's in the people. If they tell us that, I forget the numbers, but 100 out of 120 players want nets. If 100 players don't show up to play, the game doesn't happen. And therefore, the nets would be up, I guarantee you, within the next game. If the majority wants it, the players have the power. They just need to set out a few games and exert their power. That's my opinion. And the nets are available. They could have used them tonight. They're at the sports complex. Still your time.
Yeah, thank you. We'll just leave it at that. At this point, to belabor it and to keep coming back to us, it's something that, yes, it is our purview. It is our responsibility to oversee the complex. But at the same time, perhaps those gentlemen can use the net while they're playing. I don't see what would stop them. It's their league, so maybe you're right, Commissioner McGurk. Let's wait till January and stay out of it. If they want to use the net, I have no objection. And
I have no problem bringing this up late. My hope is that in January, our rules are going to mandate it.
Right.
We did not require that in the motion that was passed. So
It's true.
if that comes back where there's no net requirement, feel free to bring it up. I'll support the nets.
but in January we do support nets, right?
I think
No, what was approved was Commissioner Colodey's motion, which kicked it back to staff and said, come up with a solution to this. There was no mandate to staff that they have to come up with nets. So what I'm saying is, if for some reason staff does not come up with a requirement for nets in January, the first meeting in January, you can bring this up, or the second meeting in December, whatever, and have it so that we can then, you can bring up the motion in January to require nets, and I'll be more than happy to support that.
Thank you. And hopefully that will suffice and everybody will be happy, healthy with some fun games. Thanks, guys.
Do you have anything else for Mayor and
No, I don't.
Vice Mayor
I'll
comments?
keep them brief tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner McGurk.
Gosh. Actually, no, I don't have any comments.
Commissioner Hartman.
So Colin and I attended the Affordable Housing Summit put on by the Board of Realtors. And as you know, I've been kind of following this thing for the last couple of years. And it was interesting is that, I've heard it from the Housing Authority, I've heard it from the builders, I've heard it from the county's affordable housing group, and even the Board of Realtors, are positive about this. So that gave me some relief, I was afraid they were might do something that was saying, we just can't afford, it's not doable, whatever. But they also supported it. And so it was encouraging to me to sit through that meeting and, a lot of things that I've already heard before, but there was some new stuff that come up. So I was pleasantly surprised with the outtake of that meeting. The Saturday, I went to the Cultural Throwdown. Daryl, the rest of the staff did a tremendous job. The volunteers were out there. Everybody that was there participated. I think it was an excellent event. I actually sat down and talked to a family who came up from Bethune Beach. We got into annexation and sewer and stuff like that, but they were there to enjoy, the throwdown. So it was encouraging to see, the variety of people that were attending. And I think everybody enjoyed it and had a good time. Hopefully it's just something that will grow in the future, with vendors and stuff like that. I know the food trucks seem to be doing quite a bit of business. I hope they, had enough to survive, but there were people eating and stuff. So it was an enjoyable bit by everybody. So thank Daryl, David, and all of his staff for everything that they did, and all of our volunteers. So that's all I have.
Okay. I just had two things. One, Khaled, you had sent out an email on the Corbin Park thing, and you and I just forgot to talk about it at our briefing. So is that something that's going to be on a future agenda, or how fast do we need to respond on that? Do we need to discuss it tonight, or is that for some time down the road?
I think we should respond pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Since it's in the design process at this point. So if we have any major comments or any concerns, I think we need to bring it up now. So I'll bring it up as an agenda item.
Okay.
This way you could provide any comments that you might have.
Yeah, as long as you think that's fast enough that we just add it on the next agenda, and that way we can talk about it and make sure the public's...
And knowing DOT, I'm sure that they will have a public meeting as well, but I think it's good for us to provide any comments that we might have.
Well, because if it doesn't have the support up here, there's no need to go, any further. If it does, then yes, we should get public input and all that kind of stuff.
My main concern, just briefly looking at it, it's the closing of these medians.
Yeah. If
we install the traffic light at Corbin Park. So that's usually what DOT, they call it I guess, control management.
Yeah.
So that might be a concern for the residents, you know, you live in the area, so you know more than anybody else.
That's how I leave my neighborhood, so I definitely have an opinion on it.
But I think
I'm
that's,
interested
to them, it's usually, if they have a traffic light, I think they wanted to do that, so.
Okay, I just want to make sure that was how we were going to address that, so it's going to be added. And the only other thing is we, next Tuesday night, a week from tonight, invite you all, the public, and obviously the commission will hopefully join for the State of the City at the Brandon Center. 5:30 for a little bit of social, event promptly at 6. I know, Phil, you all have been working on the video. I've seen a snippet of it. It looks really, really solid. Very excited about that. We've got some great awards for some members of the community, members of staff, and some general updates for the community, and look forward to sharing all that with everyone next Tuesday night. And that was all that I had. City manager reports.
Well, you have the report before you, so if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer the question.
Any questions or comments on the city manager report? Hearing none. City clerk.
Just a reminder that the meetings in November are 1 week apart and spaced on the 9th and the 16th due to the Thanksgiving holiday.
That's right. Thank you. City attorney report.
No report tonight.
All right, gentlemen, this may be a record. We beat 7:30.
Yes.
If no other business for this, did you have something else? No? All right. No other business for this board. Meeting is adjourned.
Yes, sir.